Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we are looking at a fairly exciting and fairly interesting new Palkia GX card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We saw Dialga GX the other day, and now we have Palkia GX, and I, for one, am fairly excited about it. And the first thing to note, just like Dialga GX, it is a dragon Pokemon, but it is a mono energy dragon Pokemon. So in the same way that Dialga was a dragon Pokemon that just used metal energy, Dialga is a dragon Pokemon that just uses water energy. There we go. So being a dragon Pokemon means it hits absolutely nothing for weakness, sad but true. The fact that it is weak to Fairy means that it is weak to Gardevoir, but I must remind you, as I've done so in a bunch of videos lately, that with the advent of stuff like the new Solgaleo GX coming out, I'm not entirely convinced that Gardevoir's still going to be good when Ultra Prism comes out. Ultra Prism, of course, will be the set in which this is released. So I'm not convinced that that weakness to Gardevoir is actually going to be a huge problem by the time this Pokemon is released. It's got a retreat cost of 3, which is kind of heavy, but then again, you can use Heavy Ball, so it's not the end of the world. 180 HP is fairly standard for a basic GX, but it does mean that some Pokemon hit numbers on it more easily. A Golisopod using Cross and Cut GX with a Choice Band, a Tapu Bulu without a Choice Band, just using Nature's Judgment but discarding the energy. There's a lot of stuff that hits 180 but not 190, so Pokemon like Buzzwole get an advantage where Palkia does not. And being a basic Pokemon, you do get Max Elixir for a little bit of energy acceleration there. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. If there's a basic energy, you may attach it to a bench basic Pokemon, and Palkia is a basic Pokemon. And then you get Fighting Fury Belt that'll put you up to 220 HP and mean that your attacks do an extra 10 damage. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not 100% convinced it's going to be used because Choice Band is needed to hit the numbers. And although it's kind of a water Pokemon, it's technically not a water Pokemon, so you cannot use Aqua Patch to accelerate energy to Palkia, although you can use it to accelerate energy to other Pokemon on your bench, which could be useful, as we'll see in a minute. Similarly, Brooklet Hill cannot be used to search out Palkia to your bench, but you could use it to search out something like an Alolan Vulpix if you are playing Alolan Ninetales with it. So there's something that's quite a nice bonus. But it means that you've essentially got a water Pokemon with a better weakness. I've already said that the new Solgaleo is looking really, really good, which means Alolan Ninetales is going to have an issue by the time this comes out. This essentially gives you a water-type attacker, or at least an attacker that will go into a water-type deck, without actually exposing you to that same weakness. So the first attack here, for 1 water energy, allows you to move as many water energies attached to your bench Pokemon in play as you like to this Pokemon. You can move as many water energy attached to your bench as you like over to Palkia. Now remember that Rainbow Energy will count as a water energy when it is attached. And do remember that Counter Energy will also count as a water energy if it's attached to a non-EX, non-GX, and you're behind on prizes. But when you then moved it to Palkia, it would just be 1 colourless energy. It would no longer count as water energy. Honestly, this makes it a fairly decent setup attacker. Now, it's asking to be wrecked by Gardevoir, but then again, if anybody's playing that, you're being hit for weakness anyway, it's not the end of the world. But it's not just Gardevoir. We've got widely played Pokemon like Espeon GX and Oranguru that hit for more damage depending on how much energy you've got attached to you. And what you're doing here is basically moving all the energy onto you and then passing over to your opponent going, oh, go on then, you can have a free hit. That's not a good thing. And even if you're not against something like Espeon or Oranguru who are hitting more for how much energy you've got attached, you're still ending your turn with a 2-prize Pokemon in the active, with a whole bunch of energy, i.e. you've spent time and effort setting it up, and then allowing your opponent to get the first hit. That's a little bit awkward. Having said that, this combos beautifully with Max Elixir and Aqua Patch. Both of them accelerate energy to your benched water Pokemon. Well, Max Elixir to any, Aqua Patch to water. Well, Max Elixir to basic, Aqua Patch to water. And then you can move them onto Palkia using the first attack. So even though you cannot Aqua Patch onto Palkia, you can Aqua Patch onto a bench Pokemon and use the first attack to move it over. But we need to be doing some damage, and Palkia's got two options. The first one, for free colourless energy, does 60 damage, plus 20 more for each water energy attached to Palkia. And if this sounds familiar, it probably should. It's Keldeo EX's Secret Sword, but with an extra 10 damage, which is kind of adorable. And Keldeo was a great Pokemon for a long time. Keldeo saw a huge amount of play. Could this similarly see an awful lot of play? Well, Keldeo had Blastoise. Now, in Expanded, you still do have Blastoise, and you've got Archie's Ace in the Hole, which will allow you to get Blastoise out more easily, although we've had a bunch of Expanded tournaments lately, and honestly, it's not done particularly well in them. Sorry, Archie. Sad face. But you've still got something like Max Elixir and Aqua Patch. The thing is, you can Max Elixir onto Palkia, but you can only Aqua Patch if you Aqua Patch and then either use the first attack, or even play something like an energy switch, for instance, to then move the energy over to Palkia, but at that point we're just getting awfully clunky. It's going to be difficult to get enough energy on here to do a huge amount of damage. It seems like a once per game kind of thing. Like once during the game you might be able to get enough energy onto Palkia to do this attack for a bunch of damage, but it's only going to be once per game. It's going to take 4 energy plus a choice band to get a one-hit KO on Tapu Lele. That's nothing particularly great. And remember, you can use double colourless energy to pay the attack cost of Palkia's attack here, because it is all colourless energy, but that would be kind of dumb, or at least inefficient, because it doesn't add any extra damage. So if you've got a water and a double colourless on here, you're doing 80 for free damage. Better than Charizard, but not better than very much else at all. And then we get to the GX attack, which is incredibly exciting. And the first thing to say about the GX attack, just like with Dialga, you've got to attach extra energy here just to use a GX attack that you will never use again. Although I suppose you could put 5 water energy on, and then you're doing a whole bunch of damage with the second attack. But generally here, this costs a little bit more. You do 150 damage, that's quite a bit. And then you take all energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon and shuffle them into their deck. You remove every energy off your opponent's side of the field and make them shuffle it back into their deck. This is not quite as punishing as Dialga's you get another turn straight away, but it's not a million miles away. Both Dialga and Palkia, they work as a pair, and you expect that they would. This kind of stuff happens quite a lot, to be honest. 2 Pokemon that are clearly a pair in the games, and the GX attacks is very much the same kind of cost. They both do 150, and then they've got a fairly redonkulous second effect. And do not sleep on this, ladies and gentlemen. You could wreck your opponent's setup. Now, it is only into the deck, you're not discarding it, but it's still pretty gosh darn good. And 150 damage is quite a nice number to be hitting. Add a choice band, it goes up to 180. You're getting KOs on stuff like Tapu Lele, Tapu Bulu, and Drampa, but you're not hitting all the key numbers. 190 to hit Buzzwole? Nope. You're not hitting 210, which would hit Golisopod and Zoroark, so it's not actually particularly amazing. But if you can take 2 prizes or knock out a key Pokemon, while removing all of your opponent's energy, you could pretty much win the game there and then. This isn't the first GX Pokemon which gets rid of energy. Umbreon allowed you to discard 2 energy on your opponent's side of the field. More recently, Gyarados discarded 1 energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. Fairly cool GX attack. This doesn't discard, it puts back in the deck, but it gets rid of all of their energy. But it really depends on what you're facing as to whether this is great or not. So if you're facing off against Vikavolt Tapu Bulu, if you KO the Vikavolt, which is their source of energy acceleration, while getting rid of all of their energy, well, Tapu Bulu needs free energy to attack, they're going to lose. Against something like a Gardevoir, if you can take a KO while getting rid of all of their energy, that's going to be great. But then again, they can just attach one energy and hit for weakness, and that's going to be bad. Against something like a Buzzwole, you can get rid of their free energy attack, which is very good. But then again, they'll still have access to Jet Punch, which is not the end of the world. And let's not forget everybody's favourite card, Garbodor, that only needs one energy to attack. Similarly, something like Magnezone, okay, you get rid of all that metal energy, but Magnezone can attach as many metal energy as you like during your turn, so if they can draw it back out of the deck, they can just attach it all straight away. The one thing I do like is that unlike Dialga, you've got a good fallback attack. Because let's say you get 5 water energy on here. You do the GX attack, but then you're hitting 160 with the second attack. Even if you use free water energy and a double colourless, you're still hitting 120 with a second attack, which is not terrible here. I mean, this would actually be a decent candidate for double colourless, just so you could drop the GX attack kind of out of nowhere after hitting 120 for most of the game. It's kind of like Dialga, but it's not Dialga good. It's not that level of attack. Although, you can win the game with this if you do it at the right time. I'm giving this between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. The second attack there is a little bit expensive in today's metagame, and the first attack is asking to be KO'd before you actually get a decent amount of damage off. But this GX attack could be so good if played in the right deck. And for that reason, it's got to be worth a test. It could be great. Between 3 and 4 Wassies sounds fun to me. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you lovely people. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Me nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.